Let me ask you to close our time by telling a story. I love the story of you're traveling in Eastern Europe, and you're getting on a train, as I recall, and something happens that's totally surprising.
Well, I had just finished a conference. I've been in Poland for about a month and all over Eastern Europe, and I had just finished a conference in Gdansk where the Solidarity movement started.
Okay.
And my friend took me to the train station, and we were going in, and she stopped me and she said, "Do you have your ticket?" And I opened my bag and I opened up this folder that I had, and there were my tickets, and I said, "Yes, I have my tickets." So as we were carrying these luggage without wheels back then.
Oh, yeah.
And so these guys came up and said, "Can we help you?" And we thought, "Oh, wow, do we ever need, I never need help getting on the train." Got on the train, there was a lot of pushing and shoving, and one of the guys went ahead of me to my compartment, and he said, "Is this where you want it?" And I said, "That's perfect." And then the train started rumbling like it was going to start, and I got not very far and looked down, and my bag that I had over my shoulder that had the blue folder in it was gone. In there was my passport, my money, my tickets home, everything that I needed, and it was gone. And I looked out the window to my friend and I said, "They stole my passport." And she said, "I can't understand you." So she didn't know. Went into my compartment and said, "Does anybody in here speak English?" Nobody did. Finally someone came that spoke English, and I told him what had happened, and he said, "Oh, I saw those guys jump off the train. You'll never see that again. There's a sting operation out here. You'll never see that folder again." So,
people have a way of kind of destroying our faith.
No.
Nobody is there saying, "Just trust God. He's going to come through." You know.
So I went over and sat down with 6 people, and I was over by the window. Didn't have my Bible, but I just sat there and I said, I was shaken. I was really shaken, and I just said, "Lord, I choose with my will to thank you for this, that you're going to work it together for my good."
Did you really?
I did.
Wow.
I don't know how, but Lord, I know this is impossible, but not impossible for you. I'm asking you in Jesus' name, in the authority and the power of Jesus' name, I remember saying, that you'll just have them throw it down, and I'll get it back someday. And then I didn't have my Bible. It was up on the rack.
Right.
I opened up my bag, and I had my daily light, and I opened it up, and it said, "Lay not up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth or rust corrupt, and thieves don't break through and steal."
Now you're telling me that was what was printed in that little.
I just had to kind of chuckle to myself and smile. And
of all
the
statements,
things,
that appears.
And so I just that was where it was.
And you're all alone.
And I was all
Nobody
alone.
knows the language.
No. So everybody that came by that did speak English, I told them something about it, and they said, "You'll never see it again." When my friend Dennis and his wife met me at the train station in Warsaw, I told him, and he said, "Oh, Ney, I've been standing here, and thieves are all over the place, and I've watched them, and they're in operation here." He said, "You'll never see it again, but we have to report it to the police." So we reported it to the police. And I thought, I don't know who this is for, but I'm going to give everybody a 4 spiritual laws, which has the gospel in it, but it was in Polish. So everywhere we went, the American Embassy, the American Express, the taxi driver, I gave them all one. And the next day, I was, even though all of them had said, "You'll never see it again. It happens all the time." I was speaking at an executive conference in a building, went home, and they said they had a phone call from Gdansk. I mean, from the train station, and one of our guys had gone out there and asked if anybody had seen it, and one of the policemen said, "Someone threw this down, and here it is." We could not believe it. But you know what? They weren't going to send it in the mail. They had to send it in a special car because they knew it could get stolen again. So that it was hand delivered.
Okay. When you saw it,
I just about fainted. They put it on the table, and there it was. And I opened it up, and inside were the airline tickets.
Everything.
Not the money.
Yeah.
They took the Polish
But they
money.
left what was significant.
They left the passport, and they left the tickets.
Which is itself remarkable.
And we just rejoiced and laughed and cried over it. It was great. So the
Strengthened
Lord,
your faith.
It did, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
there it is again. Yeah. I want to thank you for these years of walking with Christ and helping others, not just women, but men and women, for your faithfulness in the 100 as you got started, and all you meant to Bill and Bonnet during those formative years. And then as it grew, you went on to Airhead Springs. You were part of the staff there, then Orlando, and now you live in Frisco.
Well, it's been a wonderful journey.
And I look out at that congregation and I see the smiling face of Ney Ann. I learned that today, Ney Bailey. And I realize there's a lady who understands this life. And there aren't many who do as well as you do.
Thank you, John.
And thank you for that.